Everyone talks about successful CRM implementations, but how common are CRM failures in reality?
How common is CRM failures? Everyone is talking about CRM success. Yeah, so I would say, of course, it's not very common as such that, like, it's not like 9 out of 10 CRM implementations are failing. So it's not that common, but it has got a significant, I would say, percentage as well. So, overall CRM, implementation, again, when I say CRM implementation failure, does not mean a complete failure that is. So it's not like the CRM implementation did not happen altogether. But it would be something like the CRM got implemented, but was not able to achieve what it was supposed to be, expected to achieve. So maybe the expectations were certain things. Let's say there were expectations in terms of growth of revenue. There were expectations in terms of helping organizing the overall process. Let's say the expectations were in terms of reducing the time of doing, certain activities and all. And if the company is not able to achieve that, that also, while it's not a complete failure, but that also to a certain extent is considered as a failure, of the overall whatever was expected to be achieved. So from that perspective, it is more of, I would say, yeah, going back to the question. So I would say, is it very common for CRM implementations to fail? Not very common, but at the same time, it has got a significant percentage. So, out of, I would say, every 10 implementations, I would say 2-3 implementations are not implemented the way they were planned to be, and those are not able to achieve what they were expected to achieve. So yeah, that's how I look at it.
So in your POV, what's the biggest misconception businesses have before implementing a CRM?
What is the biggest
misconceptions before implementing a CRM?
Yeah, so the biggest misconception that businesses have before implementing a CRM is that, and this is something very, very, important. And I think, it's a very, very good question, very valid question. The biggest misconception that businesses have, they always feel that CRM is all about a tool or a software, more related to technically how we deal with things. But CRM is not just a tool. It's not about, okay, fine, you're using a Salesforce CRM or a Zoho CRM or something like a HubSpot or something, else. It's not about the tool. It's, so this is something which I usually talk a lot to my clients also, any company where I'm implementing CRM. I try to help them understand that CRM is not just about a tool. It's not a software that we are talking about. CRM is more of a strategy. So it's a combination of what are your business processes, how well you understand your business processes, how refined your business processes are, and then you translate those processes into a tool to help the tool to achieve you that level of efficiency or ensure that you do not have misses in that entire process. So the tool is something which will help you maybe accelerate things the way they are done or increase the efficiency. But at any point of time, it's not the tool which is, your overall core CRM concept. So CRM is more about processes, understanding the strategy, understanding whether you already have good business processes in place. Now, this is something where, so, irrespective of whether you are using Salesforce or not, if you do not have a very, very well defined business process, that will not get translated to, very good Salesforce CRM implementation, or for that matter, any other CRM implementation from a tools perspective. So this is something which every business owner or every business stakeholder who are taking care of the sales teams, service, the customer support teams, they need to, understand this. They need to take this into consideration that for a successful CRM implementation, you definitely need to have a very solid CRM strategy. You definitely need to have a very solid understanding of how your business processes. If that is refined, then only you get those things translated to your CRM efficiently. So yeah, that's how I look at it.
As we're talking about CRM implementation failure, so according to you, is it caused by the software or the people and business processes?
Is it caused by the software and the people, and what is the last part?
Software or by people and business processes.
So no, so see, software of course does not do anything, right? Software is pretty much there to help us. So if there is something which has not been implemented properly, again, I would go back to the same point where we were talking about that processes need to be there, and a well-defined process always should be such that it covers all the gaps, ensures that there are no misses. Now, if it is a software, or if it is, if your CRM is on a software, then your software has to be designed in such a way that it takes care of the process. But at the same time, if you do not have a process in place, that is going to be the biggest challenge. And this is something which I have actually seen. So there are companies which, when I start, discussing with them about their CRM requirements, there are multiple departments. So I realize that there are certain departments. Let's say there's a company with 5 different departments. There are 1 or 2 departments which have got a very well structured business process. So they have all steps defined. We'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this, and all. There are other departments in the same company which have got almost no structure to how they do things, right? So for example, if a lead is captured, what happens to the lead, etc. So there are companies, or there are business units which do not have that well defined process. So if you want your CRM to work well for you, first thing is have a very concrete process in place. And the other question, part of the question was, I guess, people, there. So that's another thing. So I would say that people also play a big role there. We can have the best CRM system ready, or we can build our software which is capable of doing a lot of things. But if people are not willing to use that software, if people are not willing to adapt to that new technology software, or the enforcements which come along with the software, because software will not let you bypass the rules, etc. It will enforce. So if there's a field which needs to be filled, you have to fill the field, and without filling that field, you cannot process your data further. Let's say that's something which we are doing. In that case, if the people are not willing to adopt to that, or willing to own that entire, I would say, if the people are not willing to basically work with that particular tool, and they feel that no, this is making my thing slow, and they stop using the entire what do you call it, the system or the software, then it is not the right thing actually. I have seen scenarios where people stop using the CRM and all of a sudden start using Excel because the CRM is blocking them at different places. So that blocking is actually coming because the rules are enforced, right? So that is the thing. So software plays a role, certainly, but very less as compared to what is played by the process and by the people.
So considering your journey, do you have any example for CRM failures, if any? Please share it with us.
Multiple examples. I can think of multiple examples like this. And again, as I said, a CRM failure does not necessarily mean that the project had to be abandoned. So it's not that, okay, fine, there was a company decided to go with a CRM and they could not implement and they had to take a call. I have basically seen that kind of situations as well. But again, as I say, implementation failure is not just about that, oh, okay, the project had to close down. No, there are CRM implementations which are pretty well implemented, but are not letting companies achieve what they initially thought that they will be achieving, and what they possibly can achieve with CRM. So that is another aspect. So I can think of one example. It was a pretty big real estate company from US, and they had Salesforce CRM implemented. Over the years, they kept on and they had a in-house development team, and over the years they kept on building new logics onto the CRM, but it never was properly architected. So they, without guidance of architect, they just hired some developers, and the developers were randomly building functionalities. So while there were a lot of functionalities built, but those were not planned properly. Eventually they ran into an issue where they were not able to do any new development. They ran into issues where simple record loads, sometimes reports, etc., were taking a lot longer, and sometimes they were not able to even get the results, or things like that. CPU time out errors were coming and all. So they had a lot of code written, but it was not written in a planned manner. And then it came to a situation where they were not able to move any further on it. They were not able to make changes to the existing code because everything was breaking, some 10 other things and all. And then this company had to, and I was part of this particular revamp strategy for them. So this company had to then completely redesign the strategy, the architecture, everything needed to be put in proper framework and all. And it was not a very small effort. So yeah, this is one. I can also think of there was one more client which I worked with. This client had legacy CRM system, and then they wanted to migrate to Salesforce. And the legacy CRM system had a lot of limitations. So, the key stakeholders decided that we want to give a very advanced kind of a CRM to our people so that they can do things faster. So it was more of a Sales Cloud plus CPQ kind of an implementation. They wanted the sales team to be able to use the functionalities or features available with Salesforce CPQ, and they wanted them to do things faster. But the sales team, which was using the legacy CRM system along with generating or creating those quotes on the PDF using Word and all, they were basically used to making changes in the Word document and then generate those PDFs themselves manually. They seem to be very much comfortable with the old approach, and they were not willing to adopt the new approach. So once the entire CRM system was implemented for them, the entire Sales Cloud plus CPQ, everything was made available to them. And of course, when there is a transition from one system to the other system, there would be a transition phase where the system has to eventually evolve. But the sales team there was so much comfortable with the legacy system or the setup or the traditional way of doing things, and they somehow found the learning curve for them to basically adopt CPQ was too difficult, and they found it too challenging, and eventually they ended up not using the new system, and the key stakeholders had to roll back the team to the legacy system, I think, after 6 months. So everything was implemented, built, made ready for them, but they never wanted to use that. So it was like, they were pretty happy to go back to the old system. So these are the things. So one, of course, processes need to be there, and people need to be there to willing to adapt to new processes, etc. So
As you spoke about the traditional method they were following, do you think the modern AI trend will help you solve implementation issues?
So first of all, again, this was not an implementation issue. That was more of a user adoption issue. Okay, so there's a difference between when the system is not implemented, there's a gap in the expectation versus what is built on the system. That's one thing. Then other thing is the transition is always difficult, because as humans we really do not want changes. We want there's a lot of resistance to change, and especially if I am in a sales team, and all that I'm worried about is more of my sales numbers, etc. I really do not want to spend time in learning new things or adapting to new technology, which can eventually, so maybe initial few days there is going to be a bit of learning curve, there are going to be a lot of teething issues, but eventually it's going to be a lot of I would say gain that companies would get to see at a longer run, right? So sometimes the sales teams are not willing to be part of that particular change, and that's one thing. So coming to the other part of the question, so these are two different things. So one is poorly implemented versus poor user adoption. Now user adoption, there is a complete different strategy mechanism to make the system in such a way, or to define those strategies so that the users find it easy to adopt. That is a completely different thing. So coming to the aspect of, can AI help here? Of course AI can help now a lot, because there are a lot of things which are now can be automated, which reduce the overall task or activities which were earlier done by the users themselves. So with AI coming into play, of course, to a certain extent user adoption will improve, and implementations, I would not say the overall quality of the implementation will improve just because of AI, because AI cannot think that ways, but the duration of implementation or the time to build those solutions is certainly going to improve. The time, we would be able to reduce the time for doing the development, or a lot of flexibility, because there is a reduced time and effort. We can bring in a lot of flexibility in terms of adapting to new changes, etc. So that is certainly there.
So keeping big companies aside, let's talk about startups in general. They usually delay implementing CRM, thinking it's expensive. What do you say about that?
Yes, I know this, and I think this is one important aspect, and this, I'm pretty sure a lot of people, a lot of startups are going to listen to this, and I have seen this thing happening, that sometimes the startups feel that either they do not need a CRM, that's one. Second thing is they feel that this is expensive. So my answer to that would be that, to answer the expensive part of it, CRMs are really not expensive at all. Okay, so if I talk about a Salesforce license, let's say Salesforce, which is pretty much on the costlier side of it. So let's say one license would cost around $100. Okay, so or say $150, right? Now, if there is a sales rep who, any sales rep, you can expect his salary to be on an average around, let's say, $4,000 to $5,000. I'm basically talking at the lower side only. I'm not just going to the higher side. So if there is a person who's working, who is investing his 8 hours a day, maybe 25 days a month. If there's a person who is investing that much of time, and the company is paying them, say, approximately, let's say, $5,000, and we can enhance his efficiency by even 25%, by having the right sort of CRM in place, just by spending $150, it's not expensive. It's just that the mindset that we have. Okay, so CRMs can definitely help reduce the effort which is required by the sales team. Same thing goes for the customer support team members also. So that ways you are definitely saving a lot on that cost. The other important part is that it also helps you ensure your process is right. So not just saving on cost, because cost is not just in terms of what you are paying versus what you are actually able to recover. It's also in terms of, okay, fine, would you like to have a customer completely missed because someone never saw the lead, they forgot to acknowledge the lead, and they completely you completely missed that deal? Or as a customer support team, would you completely want to miss on responding to a customer on time and then losing that customer, losing credibility in front of customer? I think those are bigger things. So good thing is that nowadays CRM does not require any company, and again, there's a key message, because I do understand that a lot of startups do not even understand how complex it is to have a CRM. So it's not that traditional way where you'll have to set up a complete server in your office and all that stuff. It doesn't work like that. We have cloud-based CRM solutions, and those start with very small license cost, and you can go license by license. So you do not need to procure like 50 licenses at once. You can go with one license, two license, based on your team size, and eventually as a team grows, that can increase. So it's really not a very huge cost. So $100-$200, let's say, is a very small startup with 2 people, and they need 2 licenses. Approximately spending $200 will not be a bigger challenge or a very big challenge for them. Having said that, whatever I've spoken about, say these $100-$200, these are also for Salesforce, which is again reasonably slightly higher priced CRM. There are CRMs available in the market which are priced pretty lower as compared to Salesforce. You have Zoho, which is very competitively priced. So if a company or if a startup feels that they do not have that kind of a budget, I mean, that's okay, absolutely fine. Initially, companies or startups do not want to spend money very lavishly. They will have their budget constraints, and that's absolutely understandable. So in that case, it's good for them to start using other CRMs, maybe something like a Zoho, which would not have all full-fledged capabilities, but the CRM discipline starts building up. That is a very big plus. So I would definitely recommend every startup to use CRM and not try to manage with 10 different Excel sheets. Not the right approach.
Say you're walking into a company or startup to implement a Salesforce. What are the 3 things you would see before starting or implementing or touching the technology?
I walk into a company, and what do I do?
To implement a Salesforce, what are the first 3 things you would look at before implementing or going with the technology?
Okay. Possibly, so okay, there are two sides of the answer to it. One is the business and the revenue side of it, the mind that works toward it, and the other mind is basically the techie mind that I would bring in. So from a business perspective, because I keep on playing dual roles, right? So the business development side of me would basically start looking at, okay, fine, what is the overall scope of that implementation, how big this project is going to be. Sometimes the project may look very interesting, but the overall scope of revenue that we get to generate from that project is pretty low, and then we may have to take a decision that, are we taking this project or not. So that is so one side I would definitely look at what is the overall scope and how big is that implementation project, stuff like that. So that's one side of it. The other side would be more of technically understanding things like important things would be which CRM is being currently used. Is it like a legacy CRM which is being used, or a completely manually maintained legacy system? Let's say 50 different Excel sheets data is lying there, and that needs to be transitioned into a full-fledged CRM, fully functional CRM. That's one. Other thing would be, it would be good to understand what is the overall landscape of other softwares which need to interact with that particular CRM system. So that would be the second thing. And third thing would be, maybe try and understand the overall CRM user base, how many users and how they are split. Are they split across different locations? Are they split across different business units? Because everything will basically give us a little bit of understanding about how the CRM has to be built. If there is a CRM system which has got, say, 100 users, and 100 users are split across 5 different business units, then there is a possibility that we will be building a system which will need to be flexible enough to accommodate 5 different business processes, because every business unit may have some changes in the business process, if not completely different business processes, etc. So these are the key things. So as I said, understand the current system versus what is expected to be built. Second would be understanding the overall landscape of what all apps are there in place and all. So the technology landscape. And third is understanding the overall user base, or understanding the landscape around the users.
While implementing, what is that one mistake you try to avoid, because people keep doing that mistake again and again while implementing?
While implementing, one mistake that not just me, everyone should try to avoid. So there's one thing which specifically, let me, because I have done most of Salesforce CRM implementation, so I can talk or answer this more from a Salesforce CRM implementation perspective. So one mistake is definitely, because see, Salesforce is a platform, and building any new feature functionality on a platform is not that difficult. So it's super simple. It's like you think of it and you can build. And now with the help of all these AI tools, ChatGPT and all, building things have become even more easier, simpler, right? So if you want to write a trigger, you can just go give a prompt to ChatGPT, and it will create the entire trigger for you, right? So those things can happen, right? But one important thing is we should always try and keep our future, what do you say, the future state of the system in mind. So that is something which I feel a lot of times a lot of people keep on missing. So every time a company is building, they should not just focus on the current state of it. We should not build a functionality thinking that this functionality is going to work, or it's pretty much working fine right now. We should also be thinking that will this feature or functionality that we are building, will this have an impact on our overall technology? Will it add more burden to it? And how is it gonna react in future? Will it help me make my system more scalable, or is it gonna slow my system down in the future and all? So those things are completely missed in most of the implementation. I have been part of some of the biggest implementation, and bigger the implementation, I see bigger goof ups there. So that is something which definitely needs to be taken care of, and that's something which needs to be considered by every implementation team.
If our listeners remember only one thing from today's conversation, what would it be?
Only one thing from today's conversation. Okay, I would say have the right architecture before doing anything. So if you, and it's interesting to know this, that a lot of Salesforce CRM systems, because I spoke about one particular company, right? So a lot of CRM implementations are done by companies hiring in-house developers, and they feel we just need a developer. Even if a company is not able to have a full-time architect, they should definitely get the solutions design, everything reviewed by there are a lot of architects who would just come help you define the initial architecture. Without that, your system sooner or later is definitely going to collapse. So have the right architecture. That is what I would say. Very important.